to female DEA agents disappeared in Washington state while investigating cross-border trafficking, their last known location. A mystery for 8 long years, then a mining crew exploring a cave system spots evidence of the missing agents in a flooded chamber, a discovery that proved everyone had been completely wrong about their disappearance. The shrill ringtone pierced through Marcus Rivera's sleep at exactly 8 o'clock a.m., dragging him from dreams that had grown increasingly restless over the past 8 years. His hand fumbled across the nightstand in his Seattle apartment, knocking over a half-empty water glass before finding his phone. The caller ID showed his supervisor. From DEA International Operations Director Patricia Thornton. Never called this early unless something significant had happened. Rivera, he answered, his voice still thick with sleep. Marcus, I need you to sit down if you're not already. Director Thornton's voice carried an unusual gravity that immediately cleared the fog from his mind. We've had a development in Elena's case. His sister's name hit him like a physical blow. 8 years of unanswered questions. 8 years of wondering whether she was dead or alive. 8 years of guilt for not being there when she needed him. Marcus gripped the phone tighter, his knuckles white against the black case. Carl Hendricks and his mining crew were conducting routine mineral surveys in an abandoned shaft system near the Canadian border. Thornton continued. They discovered a white Ford F-150 through a natural skylight opening in the cave ceiling. Marcus, the VIN matches Elena's missing vehicle. The room seemed to tilt. Marcus forced himself to breathe too, process what he was hearing. The truck, it's definitely theirs. Field verification confirms it. The vehicle appears to have fallen or been pushed through the opening above, landing in a partially flooded cavern below. I'm sending you the coordinates now. Local forensics is already on scene, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. Marcus was already pulling on his clothes, the phone wedged between his shoulder and ear. How long has it been down there? Any signs of concern? He couldn't finish the sentence. That's one of the concerning aspects, Thornton said carefully. Despite supposedly being submerged for 8 years, the preliminary report indicates surprisingly minimal rust or water damage. The forensics team leader believes it may have been placed there much more recently than the original disappearance date. The implications sent a chill down Marcus' spine. If the truck had been moved recently, it meant someone had been covering their tracks all these years. Someone who might still be out there. He threw his D jacket over his shoulder holster, grabbing his credentials and car keys. I'm heading there now. Marcus, I know this is personal, but you need to maintain professional distance. We're treating this as a potential crime scene, not just a recovery operation. Understood, but they both knew he was lying. Nothing about Elena's disappearance could ever be just professional. For him, the drive north took him through increasingly dense Washington forest, the urban sprawl of Seattle giving way to towering evergreens and winding mountain roads. Marcus had driven this route countless times in the months after Elena and her partner Sarah Collins vanished, following every lead, checking every reported sighting. They had been investigating suspected smuggling routes along the border, focusing on corridors used to move drugs and people between British Columbia and Washington state. Their last check-in had been routine, just another surveillance operation in a career full of them. The GPS led him to a gravel access road that hadn't existed 8 years ago, probably cut by the mining company for their survey work. Orange cones and D vehicles marked the makeshift command center established at the cave entrance. The scene buzzed with activity, forensics teams in white coveralls, local law enforcement maintaining a perimeter, and the grim efficiency of professionals who dealt with death regularly. Marcus parked and approached the lead forensics investigator, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes behind safety glasses. She introduced herself as Dr. Sarah Lindstrom, Agent Rivera. I was told to expect you, she said. her voice carrying a mix of professionalism and sympathy. "I want to prepare you for what we've found." They walked toward a tent that had been erected near the cave entrance, passing evidence markers and photography equipment inside 3 body bags. Lay on examination tables, each tagged with preliminary identification numbers. "We've recovered 3 bodies from the cave so far," Dr. Lindstrom explained using field identification procedures. "We've confirmed 1 victim as Agent Sarah Collins through dental records and her D badge, which was still on her person." Marcus felt his throat constrict. Sarah had been Elena's partner for 3 years. A decorated agent with a young daughter at home. Cause of death. Dr. Lindstrom led him to a laptop showing digital x-rays. "This is where it becomes clearly criminal agent. Collins shows evidence of blunt force trauma to the skull, injuries inconsistent with a vehicle accident or fall, the pattern suggests. Deliberate strikes with a heavy object. This shifts our entire investigation from missing persons to homicide." The other 2 bodies, both female, significantly decomposed. No matches in missing persons databases, yet we're running DNA and checking with Canadian authorities as well. She paused, studying Marcus's face. "Agent Rivera, I need to be clear about something. We've thoroughly searched the vehicle and immediate cave area. Agent Elena Rivera's body is not among those we've recovered." The words hit him with a mixture of relief and renewed dread. If Elena wasn't in the cave with Sarah and the truck, what had happened to her? Had she escaped initially, only to meet her end elsewhere? Or, and this thought chilled him more than any other, had she been taken alive? Dr. Lindstrom showed him the truck through the cave opening, using powerful spotlights to illuminate the cavern below. The white F-150 sat partially submerged, its demarking still visible despite the murky water. Seeing it brought back memories of Elena proudly showing off her new assigned vehicle, joking about finally getting a truck that could handle the rough terrain of Border Patrol. "The minimal water damage is puzzling," Dr. Lindstrom continued. "This cave system floods seasonally. If the truck had been here 8 years, we'd expect significantly more deterioration. Our preliminary assessment suggests it's been here 6 months at most." Marcus scanned the recovery manifest 1 more time, hoping he'd missed something, that Elena's name would appear somewhere on the list. But she remained absent, a ghost who had left behind only questions and a partner's body as evidence of violence. "We're expanding the search grid," Dr. Lindstrom assured him. "If there are other remains in connected cave systems, we'll find them." But Marcus knew from 8 years of searching that some people didn't want to be found, and some secrets were worth killing to keep buried. He stared at the cave opening, wondering if Elena had looked up through that same skylight in her final moments, or if her story had continued beyond this dark hole in the earth. Either way, Sarah Collins' murder proved one thing: his sister and her partner hadn't simply gotten lost or had an accident. They had been targeted, and their killer had gone to great lengths to hide the evidence. The Cascade Ridge Motel sat like a relic from another era, its faded neon sign flickering intermittently in the grey afternoon light. Marcus pulled into the gravel parking lot just after noon, his body heavy with exhaustion that went beyond physical fatigue, the emotional toll of seeing Sarah Collins' body, of confronting the violent reality of what had happened to his sister's partner, pressed down on him like a physical weight director. Thornton had been firm on the phone. "Take the mandatory rest period, Marcus, for hours minimum. That's not a request. D protocol existed for a reason. Agents who were emotionally compromised made mistakes, missed crucial details, got themselves or others killed." He knew she was right, but every moment away from the investigation felt like a betrayal of Elena's memory. The motel room smelled of industrial cleaner and old carpet, a combination that somehow made the space feel even more isolated. Marcus set his service weapon on the nightstand with careful precision, followed by the stack of case files he'd grabbed from his vehicle. 8 years of reports, witness statements, and dead-end leads that he'd read so many times. He could recite them from memory. His hands trembled as he unscrewed the cap from a water bottle. The tremor had nothing to do with the cool mountain air or lack of food. It was pure adrenaline crash mixed with grief, seeing that truck in the cave, knowing Sarah had died violently while Alina remained missing, had shattered the small comfort he'd built around uncertainty. For 8 years, he could tell himself they might have simply disappeared, started new lives somewhere. Now that delusion was impossible. He had just removed his jacket, hanging it over the chair by the window, when a firm knock interrupted his solitude. 3 measured raps, authoritative official through the peephole. He saw a uniformed officer, tall and broad-shouldered, with graying hair visible beneath his campaign hat. Marcus opened the door, keeping his body positioned to block view of his weapon on the nightstand. "Can I help you, Agent Rivera? I'm Sheriff Wade Thompson, Cascade County." The man extended a large hand, his grip firm but slightly damp. "I apologize for the intrusion, but I have a time-sensitive matter regarding your sister's case." The sheriff's uniform was crisp as badge, polished. Everything about his appearance suggesting professional competence, yet something in his pale blue eyes seemed off, a nervousness that didn't match his authoritative bearing. "Come in, Sheriff." Marcus stepped aside, noting how Thompson's gaze